We all have that one game that we wish we could just completely forget about and re-experience it one more time like it was our first time, right? For some people, that game may be Ocarina of Time, Shadow of the Colossus, etc., but for me, that game is Dark Souls. There was just something special about Dark Souls from the moment I first played it back when I was an early teenager. The dragon flying through the air on your way to the Undead Burg, sprinting on that bridge, desperately trying to reach safety before he breathes fire all over the place. I mean, name one game since then that's really been able to recreate something like that. There were so many small details like that that left an impression on my mind the first time I played, and to be able to re-experience that for the first time, just one more time, has always been on my mind. And by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly how I was able to do just that. It all started when one of my viewers, Sam, the freaking man, you know who you are, dude, recommended me this mod called Daughters of Ash. Now, I don't know how many of you have already played this mod because it's pretty old. We're talking 2019, but I never played it before, and I gotta say, it gave me those same feelings I did back in 2011 of playing Dark Souls again for the very first time. Frustration and enjoyment and all.
How, like, that, man? Like, how the
That seems like an unreal thing to be able to accomplish though, right? I mean, most mods feel like unfinished pieces of garbage that were developed in your parents' basement, but this mod, it's a bit different from most. It was worked on by a single guy, and he spent over 1,000 hours creating this mod, and trust me, it's worth giving a shot. You see, this is a mod that basically reworks a lot of things about the game. One of the things that stood out the most to me were the bonfires that you've so painstakingly beaten into your brain on 20 different playthroughs.
What the hell? You unlock a bonfire if you kill him? Ooh.
Most of them are in completely different places now, so you can't rely on your memory anymore to get you through an area. Sometimes you'll have to go for even longer before you can find one because the bonfire may just be gone entirely. And it brings back that feeling of nervousness you felt on your first playthrough and the relief of finally finding that bonfire. Ah, man, it's back and feels good as ever. Areas also have completely different namesakes, which is kind of a nice touch in making things feel fresh and new. Sen's Fortress, for instance, has now become Sen's Forge, and the blacksmith is over there instead of where you'd normally find him. Not just that, the pathing is completely different. You know how originally you go through the Undead Burg, fight the first boss, talk to the best Sunbro of all time, and then mosey on toward the bridge, narrowly avoiding the dragon's flames to then unlock a shortcut to the Undead Burg bonfire. Well, this time around, when you make it to the bridge, this happens.
Oh my god. Wait, what the Wait, huh? Can we just run through this? No chance. Not a chance. We can't go this way.
Yeah, there ain't no way in hell I'm gonna be able to make it through that in time, so you are forced to take another route. The only other way you can go being through the Watchtower into the Dark Root Garden, which eventually leads you to a seemingly normal boss.
Bruh, this is a boss, come on, bruh.
I went into this thinking, I'm about to kick this dude's ass, this guy's no friggin' problem. I could beat him with a friggin' broken straight sword. Oh god.
What? You got a new move!
Yeah, even bosses have been tweaked to have new moves and be more aggressive, and even have new, different phases that can completely surprise you as well. And trust me when I say this guy was no walk in the park. I died to him at least 10 times before I was finally able to beat him, and I played Dark Souls for at least 1,000 hours at this point. Part of the reason it's so difficult though is because it's not just the enemies, enemy patterns, and bosses that are different. Even the items are completely mixed up, so you can't rely on that knowledge either to go ahead and get the best weapon in the game early using your map knowledge. Nah. All of that is completely useless. So it brings you back to those 2011 days of Dark Souls where you randomly find this big-ass club and realize how OP it actually is, so you upgrade strength and just profit, baby. Man, I mean, I've never used the big-ass club before. I forget the actual name. So, I mean, that's another thing I gotta thank this mod for. It's friggin' awesome. And that's just another reason I love this mod. It brought me back to the old days of Dark Souls where I would just use whatever weapon I found lying around, experimenting with it to see if it fit my playstyle, instead of just using what I already know is best. Remember the first time you played Dark Souls? How lost you always were. Everything seemed so obtuse, going down to New Londo early, getting your butt handed to you by ghosts. Good times, right? Well, in this version, there are no ghosts.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
Or how about this? I've already said you can't go through the Undead Burg the original way, but after making your way through the Darkroot Forest, fighting your first boss, to then get there through the Undead Church route, and going through there to ring the first bell seems like it'll work, but wait a second, there's no boss here. And not only that, you need some gauntlets or something in order to actually ring the first bell? But then you realize, wait a minute, the way to Sense Fortress is already open without me having to ring anything. Normally, you'd have to ring both the first and second bells for Sense Fortress to open up, but not in this mod. And so when you've played the game for as long as I have, this throws your sense of direction all out of whack. Forwards feels backwards, backwards feels forwards, and half the time, I was like, dude, what do I do next? And if that isn't playing Dark Souls for the first time, then I don't know what is. For all the improvements this mod makes to the original though, there are also some things that set it back quite a bit. This new pathing, while cool, can lead to some pretty annoying things happening here and there.
What?
The original game's pathing was made to be pretty seamless, as long as you didn't go down to the Tomb of the Giants before you had to. But with this mod, there's a point where you need to go into the catacombs pretty early without the Lord Vessel. Like, it's a necessity. Thankfully though, this is another area that has actually been made better from the original because, well, you can actually see down here without the skull lantern. Thank God. It's actually a huge plus. The negative comes when you pick up this key item and you're not really sure what to do with it because it's exclusive to the mod. You haven't unlocked fast travel, and you unknowingly run all the way back to Firelink's Shrine, which is already a bitch and a half, just to realize, well, whoops, I was supposed to interact with something on the way back with this new item I had picked up in the Tomb of the Giants in order to unlock the way to Anor Londo. Great. So I had to run all the way back into the catacombs, back down to the casket in question, interact with it, then run my ass all the way back up. I understand the developer was trying to make the pathing completely different from the original, but just because it's different doesn't really make it better. A way to improve it that wouldn't have been as bad would have been to just allow that item you picked up in the Tomb of the Giants to be used to take you to Anor Londo, removing that extra step of interacting with that random-ass casket. Which brings me to a few other changes that I believe were made for the worse. First of all, divert your attention to my health bar. Why is it halved? Oh, it's like Demon Souls. We all know how annoying of a design choice that was. Well, at least soul form and human form was kind of a cool concept to try out, but let me try and stay on topic here. This, right here, straight out of Dark Souls 2.
What?
In case you didn't know, I friggin' hate Dark Souls 2. Enemy placements and the amount of enemies thrown at you can make you feel like you're playing a different game as well. For instance, in the Undead Burg, normally there should be one rat here. There's 3 of them, and they're that much more aggressive. But hey, all in all, it's a mod that was developed by one friggin' person who spent over 1,000 hours creating it. I'll give him a pass for some of the mod's shortcomings, okay? In conclusion, this mod is an awesome way to re-experience Dark Souls in a completely new light, and if you've been wanting to play and feel like you're back in 2011 again, hey, then I highly recommend. Be forewarned though, this mod is not for the light of heart. It can be pretty frustrating, just like your original Dark Souls experience would have been. Like I said, I consider myself quite the soul-sexual, and I'm pretty damn good at these games. But this mod still had me cursing at my computer, controller, whatever I could do to cope with that death that I just had. But hey, it's not Dark Souls if it's not slightly rage-inducing. I only recommend this mod to people who have played Dark Souls over and over and over again. Hey, I'm talking several playthroughs. If you're still someone that hasn't played Dark Souls yet or has only dipped their toes into it, then stay far away from this mod. I think this was only intended to be played by people like me who've played Dark Souls all they can and were looking for something new and different. But hey, if you're feeling adventurous, then who am I to stop you from playing it? With that being said, I'm still playing through this mod right here on the channel, so if you'd like to join in on the rage-inducing goodness, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell to know whenever I'm live streaming right here on That Guy Biz. Who knows? You should check to see if I'm streaming right this moment. With that, Play Dark Souls like it's 2011, baby. And I'll catch you all in the next one.